Hello, everybody. This is Bob McNeil. I'll be doing the webinar today. We have a bunch of people here signed up, and give me a minute or two to make sure everybody gets logged in here. On your screen on the right-hand side, the GoToMeeting window can be minimized if it's blocking part of your screen by clicking the orange button at the top left corner of the GoToMeeting window. You may want to maximize that. If you want to ask any questions during the webinar, about 3/4 of the way down on the GoToMeeting window, there is a questions band. And if you click on it, it'll open up and give you a field to enter any questions, and we'll probably stop a couple times during the webinar and see if we can take care of any questions. And then we've left about 10 or 15 minutes at the end to throw it open for questions. Because we've got so many people attending, everybody's voice is muted, so we can eliminate the background noise. If you have a problem, you can click on the hand button on the toolbar on the top left side of the screen, and we can try to help you solve any problem you may have. Pam, I've unmuted your mic just to check the audio. Can you say hello? Pamela? I guess we have two Pamelas. Pamela Fuller? How about Pamela Cox? Karen Oakes? Karen, can you hear me? I hear somebody. I just want to make sure the audio is working properly.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, all systems look like they're go here. We've got most people have signed in. Let me go ahead and get started. We've got a schedule change today. We were going to do email management, but we're going to do that at the next webinar in February. Today, what we're going to do is what we call our Time Matters follow-up systems, which are a variety of systems that we've developed over the years to assist in not just task management writ large, but also following up on all the little details of things that sometimes get lost between the cracks. And we're going to concentrate on 3 of them today. The first one is, how do you keep track of phone calls and emails that you're involved in where someone else is supposed to do something? So maybe you talk to your client and they're supposed to give you some tax returns, or you talk to another attorney and they're supposed to get you some discovery. The second one we're going to take a look at is how to manage phone call messages that are left for you. this goes kind of back in the paper world to that stack of pink phone message slips that pile up on your desk or in a carrel somewhere in the office. And then the third one is really not a follow-up system per se, but how do you create a tool or a system for both you and your staff to make sure that you take care of your daily tasks, so that the standard things that either you or maybe one of your staff are supposed to do get done every day. So those are the three things we're going to look at today. So now the first one is how to keep track of phone calls and emails. Again, an example of this, and it works the same way for either phone calls or emails, is that you email somebody and they email you back and you email them back, and at some point they're going to take care of something. And the traditional world, what you would do is create a to-do. You create a to-do record for yourself. Say, make sure that Bill Smith sends me the tax return, the discovery, whatever it might be. And that works okay. But the downside to it is that there's what we call friction, in that you have to create a new record. In addition to that, your to-do record is not going to have all of the information in the phone record unless you copy it and enter it into the phone record, you copy the information from the phone record and then paste it into the to-do record, which increases the friction. So what we've done is combine all the information in that phone record and keep it in one place, but provide the tools or the hooks, so to speak, so that you can keep track of the ones that don't get done. So let me demonstrate how that works in kind of real life first, and then I will show you the way it gets set up. None of this is, sort of rocket science, I don't think, but it's really a good example of how you can use time matters to sort of slice and dice your data to get you to the point that you want to reach the goal that you want to achieve. For example, managing these phone calls and emails. So what I'm going to do here is add a, give me 1 second. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a phone call record. I'll show you the email after the phone call, but it is exactly the same. And we have a variety of firms on the call here today. Some firms have a very sophisticated time matters customization in their setup. BK Express, for example, is a very sophisticated setup. Some firms have one of our practice area templates, and some firms may not have any great degree of customization. I'm going to try to make this sort of accessible for everybody, regardless of the customization that you have or the degree of customization that you have. And I'm using Time Matters 11, but it works the same in version 12 or 11, 10, 9, 8. All these are typical long-standing Time Matters tools. So what I'm going to do is really the best practice for adding a phone record. I'm going to click on my case list, and then I'm going to add a phone record. And I can do that lots of different ways. But again, probably the best practice is to use the Power View. If you've got one of our Power Views where I can add a phone record from the Power View, or even with our action list with the trigger. The advantage of the trigger is it sort of gives you a menu of all the automated processes in the system. And one of them is going to be phone calls received. Let's just say that somebody's calling to ask whether they need to attend a hearing. So by using this trigger, which is actually a combination of a trigger and an auto entry form, I get all of my standard data fields entered for me. It just makes it faster and easier, and I don't have to mess around with it too much. So I take my phone record like normal, put whatever notes I want to put in the memo field, et cetera, et cetera. And normally what I would do is I would click on Save and Close and then be done with it. But the field we've added here to facilitate the follow-up system is a follow-up field. It's a date field. And so this is a date that you want to follow up. This isn't a particularly good example. So they're called, they need to attend hearing. They need to call me back and let me know if they're going to bring their tax returns to the hearing. Yeah, silly example, but you get the idea. So I can use the spin buttons here to go one day at a time, or use the date calculator, which is actually really just a lookup window here, and I can open the advanced or close the advanced areas. If I actually want to use the calculator, which I don't really care here, I'm not calculating any dates. This is a little bit slimmer view of everything here. So let's just say I want to get back to them. I don't know. I want to make sure they get back to me in a week. So I can enter the date here, however I want to enter the date there. And I click Save and Close. So really, no muss, no fuss, very simple to do to enter the data into the system. And I've got my system set here to, got this up for our third example, our second example. So just ignore that. So now, that's entering the information in the system. So how do I manage it? On my phone call list, and I'm assuming everybody knows that there is a phone call list in Time Matters, just like you have a little screen spillover there. But just like there's a contact list and a phone list and a case list, there's also a phone call list. And by default, when you open the phone call list, you're going to see all of the phone calls from the beginning of time. The quick tabs, as you probably know, are saved filters and column layouts, which can also be assigned to a specific power view. So our follow-up quick tab here is set up as you'll see later. So it's just showing me the phone calls that I am involved in that need follow-up. When I click the follow-up quick tab, it's going to show me all the phone calls that I need to follow up. And the column layout here is a little bit different than what you're used to. That is, we're using that follow-up field that I entered a few minutes ago as the sort field. And you can tell that because the follow-up column header is in bold, and there's a very faint triangle pointing upwards, which means it's doing an ascending search from oldest to most recent. And typically, that's what you'd want to see. Today is the 16th, and I don't have any that I need to follow up until the 17th. But if I had some in here with January 2nd, I want to see those first. So it's prompting me to take care of my oldest ones first that are overdue for a follow-up. And there's nothing, again, there's nothing spectacular here. When I open up the phone record, it's the same phone record that I added before. Looks exactly the same. If I go down to the one I did add here, exactly the same as I added before. And again, as you probably know, if you have a quick tab in effect, a little hard to tell here on this screen which one is in effect, but it's raised a little bit higher than the other. Also, you can tell there's a search going on because of the red mark over the binoculars button. And if you want to see exactly the filter that's in effect, you can go to the search item on the menu bar, go down to advanced, and you can see here is the search that's assigned to this quick tab. So I think it helps to look and see exactly what the search settings are. Staff has staff. That means that the staff field on the phone call record has what's called the staff token. And some of you may not be familiar with this. The staff token is just a method to be able to create a program-level quick tab. So quick tabs can either be at the program level that apply to everybody and they appear on everybody's computer, or user level, which means they'll only apply and appear on one user's settings. So if you have 10 people in your firm and you want to create a quick tab, it's a lot easier to create one program-level quick tab than 10 user-level quick tabs. Obviously, you want each person's quick tab to show you just their record, and that's the benefit of the staff token. So the staff token replaces, when it runs the filter, it replaces this token here with what is called the default staff, which is the second set of initials that appears on your status bar at the bottom of your Time Matters screen in brackets. And so this is set when you create your, you set up your users. And I'll just very quickly go in here. When you set your users up, my user is WRA, and here is my default staff. So when I open my calendar, it opens to this calendar. When I create a to-do, it automatically enter, or can automatically enter, this information in the staff field. And when we set systems up, we always set up the same user initials as the user ID and the staff. So you, whoever you are, always see your calendar. Sometimes, however, you might have a staff person that doesn't have their own calendar, that doesn't have anything assigned to them, but they're in charge of trying to keep track of a particular attorney. So in that situation, you might have a staff person here, so when they open their, let me mute that, so when they open that calendar, etc., the proper calendar shows up. Okay, just got the mute on. All right, so that's where that staff came from. And then the second filter here is follow-up is not blank. So the follow-up field has something in it, right? We don't want any records here where there's nothing in the follow-up field. And then the third item here, and done is not equal to Y. That may require a little explanation. So we have a done checkbox, and as you'll see, when you check the done box, indicating that you have followed up on the phone record, it falls off the list. And I don't want to get too technical here, but the done checkbox obviously is either checked or not checked. But in the underlying database, the field can have a Y in it, which means it's checked, a no in it, which means it's not checked, or a blank, which means it shouldn't be blank. So we want to avoid the situation where you could have some data issues. So by saying the field is not checked, that covers those two other states. If that doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry about it. If you just follow the screenshot here that we have sent you in the materials, you'll set the filter properly. Okay. So that's how the filter is set up. And again, if I, at some point, get the issue resolved and I don't need to follow up anymore, I check done. And you'll see here, I'll move that down a little bit. Here's the one I just set up, I just created. Now I've just marked it done. When I click Save and Close, it falls off the list because, guess what, it doesn't meet the filter requirements anymore. So that is how the workflow works. Very simple, straightforward, I think. If anybody has any questions at this point, go ahead, type them into the question field there, and I'll try to take care of any questions before I show you the setup. Okay. Looks like there's no questions. So let's take a look at the setup. There's two things you need to do, and again, the materials you probably have received by now in an email on page 11. Two things you need to do. One is to add that follow-up field to the phone record form style. And the second is to create the quick tab, the follow-up quick tab, so you can see the ones for you to follow up. I'm going to go through this not really real fast, but the screenshots are all set out in the materials, and so I don't think you need to take any detailed notes or anything on how to do this setup. It's laid out very clearly in the materials. So obviously you need to be able to have the right permissions and time matters to go to File, Setup, Templates, Form Styles. And then the record type excuse me, that you want to change is the phone record. And for those of you who haven't done any customization before, this may be something that you want to refer to your admin or your IT support or whatever. We can certainly do this for you, but again, it's not rocket science. Each record type has a default form style, and then as you saw over here in the events, you can add additional form styles. But we suggest that for this, even if you did have additional phone form styles, that you make the change on the default. If it turns out that your firm has customized all these fields, you might need to use a different field. But you know, I'm showing you the general principles anyway. We find that very rarely do firms use all these fields. So you're going to probably see user 1 or custom 1 or something like that as the field label here. This one has already been set up. But to set up and customize a field, you right-click the field and click on Customize Field. In Area 1 here, these are all the field descriptions. Area 2, you indicate what type of field that you want, the properties you want, and then depending on the type of properties, you have additional options. So very simple. The screen label, that's what appears on the screen right here, screen label. The tooltip, which is what appears if you just sit your cursor on the field, you get a tooltip that pops up. The advantage being that the tooltip can be about twice as long, hold twice as many characters as the screen label. There's not a lot of room here for this screen label. And then the field name is just what is this field called when you're looking at a list of field names other places in Time Matters, for example, if you're doing a merge. So typically, if you can make all three the same, that's a lot more consistent and clear and less confusion. If you have a really long field name for some reason, you might have to abbreviate it here in the screen label. And then we want to be a date field, so no big no big issue here. Just make it a date field. And then probably you want to check the audit box here so that you can go back and look and see when that field was changed. If you find that you're not seeing the data that you think, and did somebody go in here and change this, you can actually go into the audit log and see who changed the field if this box is checked. You don't need to use any of the other options here that you have for a date field. So very simple to add the date. The other thing I've done here is I've hidden the other fields. This makes for a little bit cleaner look. There's some thought that, well, gee, if I leave the other fields open, then maybe I might just throw some data in them. But again, just this is kind of an option I'm showing here. And for each of the fields, you can use the hidden field property and obviously if it's hidden, it's not going to show up. So a little bit cleaner look if you want to streamline things. Some firms feel that, let's just hide this stuff because we don't want people putting stuff in there. If they want to put something else in here, they should be using the memo field or making a better description. So that's how you change the field here as a follow-up. Okay, and again, I'm going to go through the quick tab setup pretty briskly because, again, everything is in the material. So to create a program level quick tab, let me just say, if you right-click here on the quick tab, you can do a couple things. You can edit your columns, and once you set up your program level quick tab, each user can go in here and change the columns around so it meets their needs. Pretty slick trick that Time Matters has done there, kind of combining both the advantages of a program level quick tab, you only have to enter it one time, but also letting each user change the column layout so they can have it their way. Ditto, from here you can right-click, and you can go into the edit. This could read Edit User Quick Tabs menu. So here's the user phone list quick tabs, which is not where we want to go because we want to go to the program level. But I want to point out here that if you have done this in the past, you're not going to be able to change the program level by going here. And you can also at the Power View, which we're not going to get into. So to create a program level quick tab here, so the same place we went before, File Setup, Templates, and then, sorry, going the wrong place here. I always use the keyboard shortcuts. I never use the mouse, so it's confusing if I need to use the mouse. In File, Setup, General, Program Level, which is Alt-Shift-P. So if you're going to be doing this to any degree or any frequency, it's a heck of a lot easier to do Alt-Shift-P. Boom, there I am, instead of click, 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 click. Anyway, once you get into the program level setup here, this is our phone list, right? We want to modify the phone list. So here on the left-hand side, we have all the things you can modify at the program level, and lists is one of them. So it takes doing this a couple of times to kind of figure out in your own mind what the logic is here as to how the menus are set up. But again, if you ask yourself, hey, what am I changing? I'm changing the phone call list. Do I see phone call over here? No. Do I see list here? Yes. Okay, let me try list and see what happens. And then here are the different types of records you can change. Obviously, we want to use the phone call list. And then we can click here to set the options. So these are all the options you can set at the program level for the phone list. One tab here shows you the quick tabs. So here are all the quick tabs that are there. And I can, here's the one for the follow-up. And I can just click Change here to show you what I've already done. I think that'll be a little bit faster. So the name is whatever you want to name it. When I say follow-up staff here, this is just the name that shows on this list here. It has nothing to do with what you see here on the phone list once you're using it normally. When let me do one from scratch. When I add one here, when I enter a name here, it automatically copies it and enters it into these three other fields. So these are what you are going to see on the screen. And typically, you can see them three different places on the main list here, on the menu up here, the flyout menu. And on the sub list, when you look at a case, you'll see the different quick tabs for a particular type of record. But really, all you need to know at this point is, hey, put your name here. It's going to flow through to the other name fields. And again, by using the staff token, it's going to pull the default staff for whoever you are logged in as into what you see on the screen. And entering the staff token here makes it real clear that you're using the staff token. And then on this first tab here, we find it's helpful if you change the color of the quick tab and group them with similar quick tabs. It's much easier visually. If you've got three, for example, we'll see in a few minutes, there's two quick tabs that are related to each other, so I made them green. Just easier to see what's what. And then by default, these are all checked. We typically uncheck these two items. If you leave them checked on the column layout here, it'll show you the full code description, ditto the full staff name, which means you just have to make the columns wider to show those full names. And since everybody in the firm is going to know who the user initials are and what the codes are that you're using, it just saves space. So we typically uncheck these two. On the Fields tab, these are the fields by default that are going to show up on the column list for this quick tab. And there's no rhyme or there's no magic here. This is very subjective. You might want to put them in different orders. You might want to have additional fields. Again, I'm assuming everybody knows how this double window pane concept works. So every field in the phone record appears in either this list or this list. The lists on the right are the ones that are already in the column layout here. The ones on the left are available. So if I wanted to put the case number here, I double-click it, and it's going to be on the far right-hand side of the column layout. Top to bottom here equates to left to right across the top when you see the list. And so you can double-click to bring them from one side to the other, or you can just click Add and Remove to do that. And you can use up and down to move them up and down to change the location. And I'm going to remove this one to get it back because I don't really want that. Just an FYI here, if you were using different form styles, such the same field was named something different in different form styles, you can set the default here, set the form style labels so you can see the labels that you expect to see for example, if this were a sort of a phone list, if this were the contact list, you might see different fields for judges than for clients. And then the last field here is kind of where the heavy lifting is. This is the filter and sort field. So as I said before, a quick tab is a combination filter and column layout. We talked about the column layout here in fields. This is where you set your filter. You can do it a couple different ways. What I've done here is just set up an advanced search. What we looked at before, just set up by setting up these individual fields. Staff has staff token, and follow-up isn't blank, and done hasn't been checked. That's what this tells you. If you already have created if you already saved one of these advanced searches, that's pretty neat because once you do save it, you can use this item here, and you can see a list of all your saved searches. You just select it, and you're done. This also lets you use this save search in addition to using it on the quick tab. You can use it in other places if you need to. So 3 different ways to do searches. You can use a combined search if you only want to do a limited amount of searching on fields, but you can see here that we don't have any ability to search for the follow-up field. Hence, we can't use that. We would need to use the advanced search either manually here or using a saved search. And then the last field here is the record sort. So again, here you can see that this quick tab is sorting the records by the follow-up date, because that's what you're doing here. You're following up with the phone calls. So you need to set the field. These are all the fields in the phone record, and typically it's set by the date, the record date. We want to change that to the follow-up field. And I just hit the F key there several times to click through all the fields that start with the letter F. And then the sort can be either ascending sort or descending sort. Typically, this would be ascending because you want to look at the oldest ones first so that they don't get lost, I guess. So that's how you set up a program-level quick tab. that completes how you use the phone call follow-up system. And so I'll stop now. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and enter that in your question field. Okay, so I must be doing a great job here because we have no questions. I mentioned that this applies for both phone calls and emails. The email setup is exactly the same. So again, the materials make that pretty plain, but there is no difference. There is no difference at all. Let me see if I can get rid of this. Hang on one second. There is no difference in the setup with the phone call follow-up and the email follow-up. With the possible exception that most firms will have a phone call list button on the toolbar. Many firms won't have an email list button on the toolbar. The email list can be accessed from the mail button on the menu bar, email list. Also F11 will open the email list. Also, it's very easy to add an email button to your toolbar. If you haven't done that, you don't know how to do that. Very simple. If you right-click anywhere in a blank space on the toolbar and then click Customize, let me warn you, if you don't click Customize, but you click Toolbar 1, which is default, that's going to uncheck Toolbar 1, which will result in no toolbar. So if you ever see this, that's because somebody's done that. You just need to right-click again, select Toolbar 1, and you'll get that Toolbar 1 opening up. So right-click and Customize. Again, the double window concept. Here are all of the functions that are on the toolbar now, top to bottom here, equates to left to right across the top. If you want to add the email list, what's available is over here. I can just type E to take me down to the first E. I can scroll back and forth if I needed to. The email list, either double-click or click Add. And then if I want to move it up so that, let's just say, it shows next to the document list, maybe I want to be fancy, put a separator bar here, put that in there. I can even do a preview to see what it's going to look like. So that's what it's going to look like. Here's my email list. The big mistake everybody makes at this point is that they click OK here, and nothing happens. Oh, I must be locked up. The world's going to, the sky's going to fall. There's actually a close button here that's hidden off. Well, it's placed off to the right. Got to close the preview first, then you can click OK. And here's my email list. So I want to open my email list. I got several different ways to do it. Here's my email list. Same exact sort of thing, follow up with the staff token. Here's all the emails that need following up. If I open one and I take care of it, same deal. I've got a follow-up date here. I can just click on Done, and you'll notice that this one right here, when I click on Save and Close, it's going to fall off the list. Again, exactly the same process with the quick tabs and the field customization. Okay. So that covers the email and phone call follow-up system. Let me move now to the phone messaging system. The phone messaging system, again, we didn't develop probably any of these systems because we saw technically that we could do something. We did it because either our clients asked for it or we asked for it, because we're in a very unusual position that we actually use time matters to run our business. We used it in our law practices when we were practicing law, but since we use it all the time, we see areas that can be improved, and we include them in lots of the systems that we put together. So this was initially developed for firms that actually took phone messages as opposed to voicemail. And there's a whole philosophy that we're not going to get into, or schools of thought about whether you should take phone messages or voicemail, or offer the call or both. You know, some people say, well, voicemail is very impersonal. We want to give the client the personal touch. Others say, yeah, but it takes a lot of time, and some people even prefer voicemail. So the system, the problem that we set out to solve was, how do you manage all those phone call messages you get? Again, going back to the pink phone message slips that you used to see if you're of a certain age, all around the office in a carol or something like that. When you walk back in from being out of the office, you picked up all your pink phone slips on the way to your desk. So it works very well for that. But in addition, what we found is that a lot of firms, you know, even though they use voicemail, you come to the office and you get you have 10 voicemails. What do? Well, you fill out a phone slip just like people have done in the past, and you're kind of wasting your time just doing that, you know, writing out a phone slip. So some firms have kind of gone full circle. That is, they use voicemail, but the attorney comes in at 9 o'clock, a staff member comes in at 8:30. The staff member's job is to go to the attorney's voicemail and record them, so he or she doesn't have to, you know, spend a lot of time. Sometimes a caller will leave a 5-minute message, but you know, the only thing that's important is call me back, or you know, here's your tax return, or whatever it might be. So any firm can use this. Again, I'm going to show you how it works first, and I'll show you the setup. Again, typically, what I would do is I would go to my case, or maybe a contact if somebody is calling who's not a client. Let's say there's somebody calls who is a accountant for a client, and I could do it that way. I can also use the File, New, Record, or the keyboard shortcut Control-Shift-P. Again, that's what I do. I'm a keyboard person. Control-Shift-P to create a new phone call record. Again, I can save time if I just use one of my auto entry forms. So I'll just use the same one I did before, just for the heck of it. And then if this were just an accountant calling in, I would have to manually indicate what the case was, as opposed to, again, typically you would get a phone call, you would go to the case list, and you would just say, fine, this is regarding this case, and whoever is calling, creditor, debtor, whoever it might be, I can now fill out everything. Okay. So again, this is all normal, just like you're doing now. So what we're going to do here, again, a good example of how you can filter or slice and dice information in Time Matters. I am William Adams. I'm taking the message, but this message is for somebody else. So in the phone record, we have several fields here that are specific to phone calls. We have a toggle button here that toggles between out to and in from. So incoming call, outgoing call. Notice that the other field that changes that's linked to this is that if it's an incoming call, who is the message for? Who is the message to? So what I can do here is I can set somebody else as the person who's going to get the message. I fill out my form just like normal. I can add a memo field here. If the client's calling in, you probably don't need to do anything else, but the in-from fields here have a lookup. So if it's somebody else calling in, you can then pick them from the contact list. You'll pull their name in and all their phone numbers in. That's pretty slick. The key here, though, again, with the filtering, is that this field will dictate whose phone message quick tab this record appears under. This doesn't make any difference anymore. This is just who's taking the call. We don't care about this anymore. Now, just to illustrate this better, however, let me, because I don't want to go back and log in and out all the time, I'm just going to pretend that this is somebody different than this, so the quick tab, so that I can see this one under my quick tab. In fact, I can say that this person is taking the call for this person, William Adams. Okay, so that's all I need to do. The rest is just exactly the same. Save and close. And actually, let me put XXX here so I can pick this one out of the bunch. Now I go back to my phone list. The two other quick tabs here, to WRA not read yet. And also what this is doing is I've set this up so that when a message is taken, the recipient gets a pop-up messenger. So one more way to notify you that you're getting a phone message. So this is pretty straightforward. Let's go here. So you got two quick tabs, not read and not done. So again, all the incoming phone messages you're getting, there's going to be a few or relatively fewer that haven't been read yet, that haven't been done yet. At least I think that makes logical sense. So when you walk in the office, or maybe you connect to the system remotely, you're out of the office all day, you go home, and you want to check your messages, boom, you log into Time Matters, and here's the ones you haven't even read yet. And then here are the ones you haven't done yet. Guess what? We have a different filter. So if I look at the filter for the not read, it says it's to the staff initials, and read is no, not marked done, not checked, and done is not checked. So theoretically, if somebody puts in a phone record for you, but then somehow or another magically somebody else takes care of it and they mark the done, it's not going to show up. So you would never see that phone record in your phone list here. That's the way this is designed. If you said, you know, I want to see them anyway, then you could just mark, just delete this search parameter to see them. And again, if I take this bare bones and I say, okay, it's done, save and close, falls off the list. The theory is that you'll look at these to see, okay, which ones do I need to handle right away. Let me look at this one, Anderson Crenshaw here. Notice that there is a read and an unread field or radio buttons here. They can either be one or the other. By default, when you open it up, once it's saved, it's unread. It's marked for unread automatically. Once you open it, it gets marked read. And then when you say, okay, I don't need to take care of this right away. So this is my Crenshaw, save and close. Now it falls off the not read, and then but it's on the not done. So typically the goal here would be, I don't want anything on this list at all. I at least should be able to read my phone messages, if not take care of them. But I'll then process them over here. I'll take care of them over here and call them back and mark them done. So the key concept here is that we're doing our filter not based on the staff field, but on the TO field. And again, the materials have all the setup, but it's almost, it's the same process as what you saw before. And apparently I'm talking, either we have a lot to cover here, we have 10 minutes left. So I want to leave some time for questions. I want to respect our hour limit because I know people schedule things. I don't want to keep going and leave out anybody. So that's how the phone messaging system works. Again, I'll stop for a second here, see if there's any questions. right. All right, and the last thing here I want to talk about today is the navigator. I bet that most people don't know what the navigator is. If you do know what it is, you haven't used it. We have actually just started in the last couple of years. We've been working time errors for, I don't know, 20 years, something like that. But we have been searching for a tool to what we call the up periscope concept, which I guess came from, there must be a John Wayne movie. There's a John Wayne movie for everything. World War II, John Wayne, captain of a submarine, surfaces and it says up periscope and looks around for all the bad things that can happen to him. So when you walk into the office, you should have a system to look around and see what all the bad things can happen to you today. So here's a navigator button that I've added to the toolbar, and here is a sample of a navigator that I've set up. And so this is a list of all the things that you, whoever you are, can be different for each person, need to do during the day, or when you come to the office. You can have different navigators. You can have one navigator for coming into the office, one navigator to do before you go home. Each button here will take you to a certain screen in Time Matters to make it easier for you to remember what you need to do. So just as an example, this is sort of a front office staff in a bankruptcy law firm. Their job is to come in the office. The first thing they do is to click this button, and what they want to do is look at all of the people who are coming in today for an initial conference, and then to print the worksheets to hand to the attorney when the attorney interviews the client. And so they know how to do this. Go here and print their worksheets. This gives them the prompt. So we want you to do that first. The next thing we want you to do is we want you to look at the calendar and then see what else is going on. So click here, opens up the calendar. Once they get here, they know how to use the calendar. They can look here and see what's going on. Go to the inbox. This is an example here that we can set the buttons. These are called this is called a launcher button. You can actually launch a program in Windows. So this can launch Outlook. If you don't use Time Matters for your inbox, you can actually launch Outlook, get to and it opens up Outlook. So look at your email. Do your phone call follow-up. So this is, boom, here we are. I know how to do my phone call follow-up. Do your email follow-up. You get the idea here, right? It takes you to the list, and then you kind of, you go from there. We are not able. The navigator does not have the ability to select a particular quick tab. So it would be nice if it did, but at this point it doesn't. You just have to know enough to know what to do when you get to the to-do list, for example. So Tom talked about the to-do list on the initial segment of this series. Here are all my other to-dos that need to be done. So you get the picture where you can set these up for each user, so they've got their own up periscope. And I'm not going to go through. Let me very quickly. If you go here to options and then setup, this is not in the materials. We have not included navigator setup. There's nothing specific. It's just standard navigator setup. And you can either add a new navigator or edit an existing one. And so here's the kind of layout. You add a new item, and you can pick what kind of button action should it be. Maybe you want the email list. There it is. And you can make a customized button label. Click OK, and there it is. Or you can add a graphic, an image. Maybe you want to do a, I got a bunch of right arrows here, left line injunct. Okay, fine. You can move this stuff around to your heart's content. Okay. So that is the navigator. Obviously, the key is before you start clicking around here, you want to figure out, what should that person be doing during the day? What is their job? What is their role? And that's where the management of the firm comes in. Okay, so we've only left 5 minutes here. there haven't been a lot of written questions. If you want to ask a question, go ahead and on the go to webinar actually window, click on that hand I'll turn off, if you've raised your hand before, I've turned them all off. So if you want to ask a question, go ahead and click on the hand icon again, and I'll unmute you. So Chris, do you have a question? Okay. Not seeing a lot of questions. Okay, here I see some questions. A couple of questions. I think I'm interpreting this correctly, that someone, this may have been early on, their customization on their system doesn't have the follow-up field, and that may be true. As you saw, you may need to add it to your system. If you did not receive any email materials, it may have been because you signed up too late, or we may just skipped you. Go ahead and send me an email, Bob at OTB, that's like Oscar Tango Bravo -consulting.com, and we'll get you the materials out. And it may be, we usually send these out prior to the webinar, but I know we made some changes to them this morning, so they may not have gotten out yet. If they haven't, I assume we'll be able to get those out to you today. Okay, here's an interesting question. A couple of interesting questions. Is there anywhere else the attorneys can go to see all the items flagged for follow-up? The answer to that is yes, sort of yes. That is, there is no list here that shows you a combination of all the email records and phone records and this and that and this and that that are filtered. What you can do is use a function that probably nobody's ever heard of, which is called the day file. And the day file is kind of like a bulletin board, where you can just stick stuff up on the bulletin board that you want to take care of. So if you go to, I think it's View, and it may be Calendar. It's under Calendar, or I can add a button. Here's the day file. And so in order to put things on the bulletin board, so to speak, you can go to any record. So here's my phone call list. Go to any record and click on Process. There is a Show on Day File item here. So Show in the Day File. Okay, that was placed on the day file. All right. I want to put this case on the day file because I want to think about it or whatever. Nothing real specific. There's no way to specify what you want to do, but you can put the record. You can put the record on there. So if we go back here and look at it, here are things on my day file, and they sit here until I want to delete them. And if you delete, it's going to ask you, well, do you want to just delete it from the day file or delete the record? Obviously, you just want to delete it from the day file. Then it falls off the list. So this is, I think, the best answer to the question of, hey, I want to see everything I need to do in one list. Another answer to that question is use your up periscope, use your navigator. And if somebody said, I absolutely have to see everything that I need to do in one list, well, hey, use the traditional to-do option, where instead of using the follow-up field on the email or phone call, just create a to-do, and you'll have everything in one list. But I think the advantages of having separate lists outweigh, because of the friction of creating a to-do for every single thing you need to do. That's actually a better approach. And again, the reason I tied this up at the end with the navigator was, hey, once you get all these different things I got to go to and things I got to do, that's very confusing. Okay, great. Here's our navigator, so it makes it less confusing. You plow through here as the day goes on to take care of all of your different things that you need to do follow up on. There was another question about how do you set up the trigger. I showed you on the case list. In many of our systems, we have like a menu of things that you can do. We call this the action list because it denotes all the actions that you can take. And these are actually triggers. Obviously, I don't have time. Excuse me. At this point, we did do a triggers lunch and learn a couple of months ago. And if you want to believe that we have that available as a recording, shoot me an email. If you want me to send you the recording connection, how to get to that recording, and that discusses what we call the action list, how to add triggers in auto entry forms. All right, so I'm a little bit past 1 o'clock. Let me see if I can pick off any more questions. So if you, if you need to go at 1, thanks very much. And if you have any questions, give us a call. These systems are not tough to set up. We do have them set up so we can install them using a time errors feature package, so it makes it pretty quick and easy. So if you want assistance in doing that, let us know. We can set this up for you. And then next month, in the February edition of the webinars, which is on the, I think it's the second Wednesday, the 13th of February, will be the email management webinar, and that's very worthwhile. We're going to talk about what we call filing email bankruptcy. That is, I've got so many emails. I got 10,000 emails. I'm never going to be able to go through them. I'm going to file, quote unquote, bankruptcy and start from scratch and keep my keep my act together going forward. So if you need to sign off, thanks very much. I'll try to answer these other 1 or 2 questions. And one of them is, can you schedule a 30-day reminder for a pop-up notice? And I think what you're referring to in the pop-up notice is the let me go over here, is on, for example, the event record. Let me move around here. On the event record, if you click on the notify checkbox or you use the alarm button on the toolbar, you have to have the date has to be in the future. That makes sense. You can set an alarm. The alarm, contrary to the way Outlook works, the alarm, you cannot change the period, minutes, hours, days. You can only set it to minutes. And so typically, you would just set this 15 minutes before, 60 minutes before, and so on. But since it does have a upper range of, I think, 9,999, could be wrong. 999. So you can set it in minutes, and I think the question was how many days? 30 days. So it's kind of it's kind of tough to deal with, but you could say, okay, how many minutes is in 30 days? Take out your calculator. 30 days times 24 times 60. Is that right? 60 minutes times 24 hours, 1,400 in a day. So 30 would be, 43,000. So probably, I think it's 17 days, as I recall, is the maximum that you can set it for. But I would counsel you. This sounds like trying to make Time Matters work like Outlook works with all the pop-ups. What we found is that you have all these pop-ups. Nobody looks at them because they just pop up all over the place. It drives you crazy. We have found that a good way the best way to manage these types of things is using these quick tabs where you have a list, you have everything laid out as to what you're supposed to do and when you're supposed to do it, what the priorities are, and so forth. I think that's all the questions. If you do have something else that I missed, go ahead, shoot me an email, and we'll see if we can take care of it for you. All right. Well, thanks very much, everybody. This concludes the third session of the Task Management in Time Matters, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next month. Thanks.